The point in the speech is to inform people why authoritarian parenting, which is just strict parenting, has a very negative effect on children. Many people think that being extremely strict on children will help them succeed in life, but it can actually do quite the opposite. They hold a very high standard, so they will do whatever it takes to make their kids have good grades, a good reputation, and a good future. However, in reality, being very strict on children can do so much worse than good. There have been so many studies on this subject to try and help convince parents why this is wrong. An article from AHA Parenting called "What's Wrong with Strict Parenting" explains all of the reasons, plain and simple. Some of the negative effects on strict parenting is low self-esteem in children, depression, bad relationships with their parents, rebellion, and even bullying. Before we go into the details of the effects, let's talk about what strict parenting really is. According to an article by Tracy Tronter from Michigan State University, authoritarian parenting is the "because I told you so" parent who is likely to degrade a child and ignore the child's point of view. This parenting style can be very mean, degrading the children's feelings so there isn't that much communication. Many strict parents equate obedience with love. They often have a very strict set of rules, and if these rules are broken, there are always very harsh punishments. These parents do this because they think if they keep their children on a very strict path, that they will come out perfect. There is no room for mistakes. These children aren't even allowed to step off of the path for a second. For comparison, let's talk about not all, but two of the other types of parents. For starters, there is the complete opposite of authoritarian parenting, which is permissive. This is the type of parent who doesn't really have any kind of rules and basically lets their children do whatever they want, which can often turn out very bad, but they have a lot more room for communication. Once again, Tracy Tronter's article from Michigan State University has research that shows that children of strict parents do way more poorly with education and social life than children of permissive parents. And then there is what is considered the most normal kind of parenting, which is authoritative. These parents still have some rules, of course, but they are much more open with each other. They are always there for their children, and they hold a lot more love. With the constant punishments and lectures over any kind of mistakes, these children often feel very degraded. These parents will often say things like, "Stop being such a disappointment. Why can't you be like them?" Instead of getting rewarded or complimented for any kind of good thing they do, they only get scolded for the bad things. With these constant sayings, this will make children gain low self-esteem. It'll often make them feel like they aren't good enough and that they may not be able to do anything right, and this often leads to depression. All of this together can ruin the child's relationships with the parents. This makes the children resent their parents, not trust them, and even scared of them. The children aren't going to want to be around their parents anymore and not tell them anything about their personal life. They won't want to talk to their parents about their friends, crushes, stories about their day, nothing. And this can often lead to the children losing contact with their parents once they grow older in the future. Jane Kelly from the University of Virginia obtained some quotes from some 13-year-olds while research was being done of strict parenting. These young teens said, "My parents change the rules when they feel like it. My parents won't look at me if I've done something to upset them. They try to control everything about how I think and behave." This research that was done also showed that children with strict parents struggled with educational learning and relationships with friends and lovers once they became adults. Emily Loeb, a postdoctoral researcher who was a big part of this research that was done, said, "By the time the kids were adults, they were in romantic relationships where there wasn't as much support being given. By 32, they achieved less education relative to those who had less psychological control, and they were less likely to be in a romantic relationship at all by the age of 32. Not only are these parents ruining their children's future relationships with others, but also their current ones. Children often follow the role modeling of their parents, and if their parents are only modeling force and harshness, the children are going to do the same thing. This can lead to them becoming bullies because they do not know how to act or to express themselves. and this can also lead to them losing all of their friends, and that is a big part of depression. Children need better role models who can express love and care. And of course, the argument that everyone tells to strict parents, to the point where it's even in movies and TV shows and books, strict parents raise rebellious children. Many things that the parents say not to do, their children are going to do anyways. From Psychology Today, Dr. Leon F. Seltzer says, "The child's defiance, the resentful, angry pushback, is best understood as expressing vengeful disapproval of their parents' disapproval. And it is just very common for people to want to do what they were told not to do. It's very tempting. And constantly being looked down upon by their parents, they are going to try and rebel to win their pride and dignity back. And going back to what I said earlier, they do not trust their parents, nor do they have a good relationship, so they're going to try and hide a lot of things, which this can eventually turn them into very good liars. They will sneak around to do what they want, and the more that they are told not to do, they're going to do it anyways. This can get so bad to the point where teens will start to do illegal things like vandalism, smoking, and drinking. With all of this rebellion, the parents are getting the opposite of what they wanted. Many of these children have poor grades, are disrespectful, and are doing poorly in sports. Them being so strict when unnecessary are just making things worse. I even have a personal experience with this. When I got to high school, my mom suddenly became very strict, so I would just sneak around to do what I wanted, and this ruined our relationship for a little bit. I eventually became really good at making up lies about what I was doing, and I wouldn't tell her about my day, friends, boys, or anything, and I stopped going to her for emotional support. But me and my mom worked it out, we became really close again, and I stopped being so sneaky. Overall, strict parents are doing way more worse than good. Without showing much compassion and always being harsh, children can end up having low self-esteem, depression, become bullies, lose their relationship with their parents, be sneaky and rebellious, and simply doing the opposite of what the parents wanted, which is being perfect, and that is impossible. All children of all ages, especially teens, deserve some kind of freedom and should be able to express their relationship.